Good morning, everyone. This meeting of the Civil Service Commission of the County of Maui is now in session. Today is November the 6th, and it's approximately 9 a.m. My name is Arnold Wonder. I'll be conducting our meeting today. We are meeting online via WebEx. I want to recognize in attendance today Cynthia Razzo Porter, the Director of the Department of Personnel Services, Yukari Murakami from the Department of Corporation Counsel, and Andrea Rock Mendez, the Secretary to the Commission. Our first item of business is our roll call. And as I call, confirm your attendance for the record, and let us know if there's anyone there with you. Vice Chairman Sharon Suzuki.
Present. I'm in my home office in Wailuku, and no one is here with me.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Wallace Tom.
Present. I'm in Carlsbad, and I'm alone in a room.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in Carlsbad, Wally. All right. Our next item of business is public testimony. But seeing that we have no one in the conference room and no one online, we'll close that and move forward to the approval of the minutes of our October 2nd, 2024 meeting. Commissioners, if you've had a chance to review that, yes. I'll entertain a motion to either accept the minutes as presented or amend as needed.
I move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes as presented. Commissioners, all those in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The voting is unanimous. The minutes are approved. Okay, moving into old business. Item A, a discussion of our in-person Civil Service Commission meetings. Our target date to resume was January 2025, but I think we've just scheduled a hearing for that day, correct, Andrea? And is that meeting set up for WebEx on that one?
It's tentatively
okay,
set
so
up.
We probably want to hold off on in-person meetings till February at the earliest. How are things coming with the construction of the building? Cynthia, do you think we're safe to start? You're muted.
Sorry, my apologies. Yes, we're still under construction. They are in full swing, I want to say, on the front, the front half of the building. And so
is there a lot of noise?
You know, it depends where you're sitting. We're on the Haleakala side of the building. So if you're on the Iao side of the building, it's rather noisy. And it just kind of depends. Right now, when I walked in the building this morning at 7, they were drilling pretty hard. So it's probably going to be a couple more months at least, because each phase, depending on the, you know, the how damaged the side of the building is, once they drill down into the steel, they'll have to repair it. So they're still in the drilling phase. So I think that's we'll just have to wait and see. I think each phase was kind of like 4 or 5 months, and they just pretty much set up maybe a month
Very good.
ago.
Let's hold off on this then. Let's tentatively look at April 2025. This is that as a tentative date. And again, depending on the status of the construction of the building, we may need to adjust on that.
And we can keep you posted once they kind of switch, you know, into maybe not so much drilling and maybe more, you know, adding concrete and kind of having those areas that are damaged.
Okay. I think if for April, it'll be good. That way, in case we're projecting hearings forward, if we get to that point, then we can at least look at that. So let's tentatively set that date for April 2025. Okay, an update on the independent nomination board. Where do we stand with that? Either Cynthia or Yukari.
So, thank you, Yukari.
Hi. Yeah. Okay, so I can update that. We did have the two applicants. There were a couple of applicants to Civil Service Commission. We've been reviewing the charter to see when the appointments or the nominations or the applicants can be forwarded to the appointing authority. It looks like the only time right now at this time that we can for the names, or if there's a resignation, or if there's a mass nomination. So right now, the independent nomination board is holding on to those applicants to be submitted as part of mass nomination because Commissioner Tom's position is opening up. So unfortunately, right now, as it stands with how the charter is written, we'd have to wait till the expiration date of the term, because I think the other two terms they're not expiring until like 2026 and beyond or something, if I'm not mistaken. So we'd have to wait for mass nomination for that year to submit names. That's where we're at.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand this correctly. They can nominate a name to replace Commissioner Tom
Yes.
because of his date, but the others cannot be nominated because their expiration dates are farther out.
Yes. So, and there's nothing in the charter that would allow them to, because the resignation happened before the IMB was in place or whatnot. So whatever deadlines that would happen for like a resignation has all passed.
Okay, so
That makes sense.
what is this mass resignation thing you mentioned?
Oh, the mass nominations? Yeah,
Yes.
because a lot of the terms across all boards and commissions, everybody has a term expiration date, March 31st of what year. So different boards and commissions across the board has a lot of vacancy that's going to be happening on that date. The expiration date is coming up. So that's the next date where the independent nomination board can do like a mass submittal of names to the appointing authorities, and the appointing authorities will then take those names and then choose a nominee, or in the case of if there's a direct council appointee, the council will appoint. But if it's mayor, the mayor has 30 days to submit a name to the council, and the council then has 30 days to confirm the nomination. It's like layers and layers. And sorry, Commissioner Suzuki, I can't hear because you're on mute, but if you have any.
Yeah, I have just clarifying, just trying to understand. So, well, I have a couple of things just to clarify what you said then. So if it's the mass submittal, we can have potentially the two new applicants on board?
No, it's gonna be right now there's two applicants, but there's only one opening, Commissioner Tom's opening. So there's gonna be one person.
But we're at minimum quorum. I mean, we lost that
Correct.
other guy,
Yeah.
so aren't they looking to replace him too? Isn't that a vacancy?
That is a vacancy, but if the vacancy happened, like say before the independent nomination board got established, then that kind of throws off, because then there's different deadlines apply for resignations and stuff. And then if it was before, then likely before the independent nomination board established, then likely that those deadlines are all passed by the time that the independent nomination boards came on board. So that's where the
Okay. Wow.
frustration.
Oh, yeah, I have a second question. Isn't there a charter amendment on the ballot?
Yes, I'm
Or
checking.
there
on that.
was,
There
sorry,
was.
it's already passed. I just, no news, right? Because of the long lines and stuff. But if it passed, does that affect Commissioner Tom's situation where I think my understanding is there was sort of an automatic additional term, I guess if he wishes, right?
Yeah, if he wishes, but that wouldn't have, even if it was passed, that wouldn't have come into play until July 1st.
Oh, of next year. Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank
yeah.
you for clarifying. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, but number one, we do have the hope of having someone to replace Commissioner Tom.
Correct.
And are we realist? Is it a realistic expectation that it'll be done by the time his term expires? Because if not, we won't be able to meet as a commission.
Correct. The realistic is yes. The
Okay.
independent nomination is on target too, and then the mayor knows what his deadlines, and the independent nomination they know their deadline as well. So realistically, and so same as council will have to confirm, and they know what their deadlines are. So everyone's aware of all the deadlines, and we'll be working to fill them, so that
So
this
there's-
fiasco doesn't happen again. Yeah.
That's an interesting word to have chosen, Yukari. So So realistically, then we won't be able to get a fourth person on the commission until one of those other out positions terms out.
It's terming out. Yeah. I'm trying to see if I have a. Let me check and see what that next one. I thought it was 2026. So we likely, I think next year after that is when that.
No, there must be someone else who termed out earlier, right? Because we're supposed to have 5 with Wally.
Yeah.
Wally terms out in March. So there's got to be someone else who termed out within the last year or 2 that has not been filled.
Well, so if they termed out like last, because the only one that's terming out is Commissioner Tom for next year,
Right.
2025.
I
But
turned out in March of 2024.
yeah, but then we got reappointed for 5 years, so now your term is till 2029.
Right.
So the two
Right, but there has to
vacancies right now is
Okay.
terming out in 2026 and 2028, because Commissioner Suzuki's term is terming out in 2027.
So what you're saying, Yukari, is those terms won't be filled until the end of those terms coming up.
Right.
Our
So
board will operate with 3 until
Short-handed.
2026.
2026.
2026 mass nomination, we can if there's an applicant, then that person the name can be submitted for that term. That's gonna then after expires, so it's 5 more years after 2026. So that person's term will be going for 2025, 2020 from 2026 for 5 years. Sorry, I know it's like confusing. I was like,
That's
Wild. Please help me understand this. In the past, we've had people resign early, and someone was nominated to fill the 1 or 2 year term.
correct.
But are you saying that we can no longer do that because of the creation of the independent nominating board?
No. It is going forward. It is. That's how it is. But these vacancies happened before the independent nomination board came into place. So that's why the expiration dates doesn't really apply to these vacancies for the so currently. And I think in the past the same. And after a person resigns, they had a certain time for the person, the position to be filled for the remainder of the term. Right now, under the charter, the
Yes.
independent nomination board will have 60 days to submit a name to the appointing authority, and then appointing authority, then I think have 30 days to submit it to. If it's a mayor, then they have 30 days to submit, and then or council can confirm as soon as possible or something to that effect to the charter. But what we're saying that if the resignation happened before the independent nomination board was in place, then that 60 days passed, and then the subsequent, what happens in 60 days, and what if the independent nomination board doesn't comply and misses the deadline, then they go to a different section, but that deadline has also passed as well. So that leaves these vacancies empty until the mass nomination time comes around. I hope that makes sense. But going forward, if somebody resigns now, that timeline does apply. So the independent nomination board is submitting names within 60 days and so forth.
Okay, so again, could we fill those 2 positions during the mass nomination, or they don't qualify to be part of the mass nomination?
Not for this year, no. Not for next year, no. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that just makes it that much more interesting for us, doesn't it?
That seems like something's missing because we have a commission of 5
Right.
people. And so if we're saying if we lose someone, I mean, in this case, we lost 2, but it was before the independent nomination board was created. But now we have to wait till those terms expire. There's no one sitting in those chairs.
Right. It just, yeah.
I mean, it just
like I said, it
feels like that's not the intent.
But that's what we see or not see. We don't see that there's a gap filler in this. Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing we can ask then is that if anything changes with that,
Yeah.
because
We'll let
I'm
you
sure
know,
other
yeah.
commissions will have similar situations. If anything
Right.
changes, can you please bring it to our attention so that
Yes.
we can take advantage of that if possible?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Shucks. Okay. All right. Now we're moving to item number 6, new business. So we need to be talking about the performance evaluation timetable and procedure for the Director of Personnel Services. Now, Sharon and Wally, you folks worked on this last year. What was the timetable for this? Does anyone remember? Andrea, do you know if there's a date that has to be done by?
Let me double check 1 second.
I think the charter says
Well,
annually, but I don't know that it gives a deadline date.
Sharon, you
Yeah, I
muted?
think
Okay.
there was a deadline. I think that it has to be submitted, and then we have to work back from that, right?
Okay. As Andrea's looking that up, Wally and Sharon, would you folks be willing to work on that again this year? You did a great job with it last year. Can I send the two of you to work on that? Wally, that'll be your last big project before you get to term out on the board.
Yeah, Wally took the lead actually and did a wonderful job. Are you willing again, Wally?
Oh, thank you very much, Sharon, as a going away president.
I tried to see if we could keep you for another term, but I guess it doesn't
Oh,
work.
I
That's not gonna work.
thought I could just leave quietly.
Now we can work on it together.
Yeah, okay.
Procedure wise, I don't know if I have a question. I think we got input from a handful of employees, right? To provide input.
Yeah, three employees.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, or three, a few. Are we willing? I mean, I don't know if the county does this, Cynthia, but get input from your quote customers, the folks that DPS services, like maybe 3 directors or something also.
I think that could be arranged.
Are you guys open to that? What do you think?
I think that's a good
suggestion,
idea.
Sharon. Yeah.
Sort of a 360, yeah. I know organizations do that. So, and same, we don't want to create a whole big circus with it. It's just another perspective, yeah.
Yes.
Maybe like a 3.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's so you could do directors or you could do departmental personnel officers, right? What are they, DPOs? Is that the correct term? So you could either work with them or with the
Yeah,
with the
either,
chair
yeah.
of the department. I'll let you folks
Few
decide who you want
different
to do.
departments or something. Maybe Andrea, you can help us with that too again, yeah. Great.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 7, Director's Monthly Report. Cynthia, I'll turn the time over to you for those.
Okay. Can you
items.
hear that noise in the background at all? No? Okay, good. So good morning. Thank you for this time. A few things have happened in the last month. So right now, the county is going live with Microsoft 365. That's coming up next week. The week after. So that's going to be exciting. We may not be having to meet on WebEx. That'll be probably the one change that you guys will see because we'll be in Microsoft Teams. So all the Teams or all the Microsoft software will be in our house of use. We're very excited with kind of using, an all-inclusive program. It's quite of a lift for IT, but that may impact some of the county's services, hopefully for the better, at least internally. One of the updates that I also want to share is we met and consulted and negotiated with HGA for the engineering salaries So they got an increase. Right now, payroll is testing the new salary schedule and hope to be able to get that going in the next month. This is November, so by next month. So we're very excited about that.
Those salaries are different from the other bargaining units?
It will be coming up
Just engineering?
just for our engineering classes, so mechanical, electrical, and civil. We've struggled with like 30% vacancy rates for that group, and just to keep it competitive, it's something that we haven't done before, so we're hopeful that that'll improve our ability to attract and retain our engineering staff.
And so they're normally part of HGEA or UPW?
Yes, so we consulted and, well, we negotiated with HGA for those increases. So yeah, it's just for a year. We are in negotiations right now with HGA for all of our other bargaining units. So we'll, we'll see where we get to at the end of the day. I think last month I reported that we met with the unions. So far this last month, we just met with the employer caucus, answering some of their questions, and still pending a new date of negotiations with HGA units. We're still in negotiations with fire, and SHOPO filed for impasse last month. So we're kind of working through some of those details. Ultimately, we're in mediation. We're coming up with an alternate impasse schedule. We have a meeting later this morning with the employer group to discuss kind of the steps moving forward, answer some of those questions. And UPW, we are still waiting to schedule a meeting with them. We offered some dates in October, and we haven't been able to nail down a specific date to meet with them yet. So to be continued. And I'm just looking at my notes here. I think I covered everything. Performance measures.
Didn't we cover that last month?
Did we cover it last month?
We covered the fourth quarter performance measures, so we are now in the first quarter of FY25.
It's time's moving quickly these days, I tell you. Nothing stood out for me. The one thing that stood out was the number of applications received. If we continue on that 2379 number in the quarter, we will hit our 10,000 goal, or at least be close to it. So I'm hopeful. We did improve on our median time to certify eligible list, so that's great. So earlier this month, we did a presentation to the directors and deputies talking about recruitment and, just our process and their process, and just encouraged, because what we're finding is a lot of times they don't act on the list immediately when they get it. There's lots of delays for various reasons. And so we continue to work toward, lowering that average time to fill vacancies. And granted, police, some certain departments are going to take longer because, there's just a more robust kind of background check and, exams that they have to go through. But for the majority, we'd like to at least reduce that number so that applicants that are trying to get a job with the county aren't waiting for, months. So what else stood out to me? Yeah, that percentage of positions filled with internal candidates, hopefully that'll bump up at least a little bit, because we do, want to provide that career opportunity for our current employees. So yeah, that's kind of a lower number, but hopefully it's just an anomaly.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for the director on those items?
I have a question. The one that kind of stood out for me was goal number 2 on the second page. Number 4, process personnel. Shucks, I unmuted myself. Average time to complete transaction in days is 5 compared to 3 last year. So just wondering what's maybe driving that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's driving that up.
Is it
We'll have to
staffing
kind of take a
still?
deeper dive. It may be, vacations kind of impact it. We only have a couple people that approve transactions, so yeah, I'll have to kind of
Yeah.
look at that a
I
little
mean,
bit.
we just don't want it to get worse the rest of the
Right,
year.
right.
Okay, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Cynthia, thank you very much. Anything else that you need to discuss with us, Cynthia, before we move on to schedule the next meeting?
I'm sorry, I missed the EAP utilization report.
Yes.
So those numbers are actually really good, that 120. I'm not super thrilled about the no-shows, but it looks like people are taking advantage of the EAP services. We have a counselor on site today for the Department of Planning. They experienced the loss of an employee. So yeah, that's kind of happening right now. So, I mean, we take good advantage of, the services that they provide. We work closely with them just to support our staff. So
Absolutely.
it's tough.
That's great. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. One last item I'm just interested in. So again, these engineering salaries, what bargaining unit are they usually? Are they usually
They're
from one
BU
bargaining unit? Or they cross?
13, bargaining unit 13.
BU 13. Okay, professional and scientific employees, and they're just a portion of that bargaining unit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. Whose idea was it to pull that out and do them separately?
Well, so we talked to the state. It was the state that was kind of their compensation division were looking at all the salaries. And so they did a study to show what the private sector pays. And, we're never going to compete with the private sector, but, the Fed. So on Oahu, especially, they're in competition with, the federal group. And so, they kind of came up with this alternate pay salary schedule. And so we looked at it and, talked to, first we had to afford it, but to be competitive so we wouldn't lose anybody to the state. And, it was kind of everybody kind of implemented it independently. And that was, by the request of the union that, we not be all together. Anyway, I don't know what that was, but so yeah, the County of Maui entered into the supplemental agreement with AGA, and it's just for a year. So we'll cross that bridge and see how it impacts our recruiting, our retention for the future.
Okay, but those increased salaries will not go away after the year, right? That's just
Right. We only signed for a year.
Okay. And do you know if other jurisdictions like Kauai, the Big Island, also signed on for that?
Hawaii did. Big Island is considering it. I don't know that they signed yet. The city and county did, and the state did.
Well, maybe we can recruit from the Big Island then.
We got one state here. I know it's just kind of poaching from each other, really. So
I was going to say the word poach. Okay.
So just to
All right.
clarify, it's a 1 year, it's like a one-time bump. And then of course they would be subject to the annual increases from that now new higher rate. Yeah.
right.
Okay, thanks.
So,
Okay. Thank you for getting that clarified. That's very interesting. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Very good. Commissioners, we will schedule our next meeting for December 4th, 2024, the last of this year. And Wally, I know you're not counting down 4, 3, 2, 1. So I know that's not happening. But we'll schedule our next meeting for then. Commissioners, may I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting and do obligatory session.
Move to adjourn.
I second.
Been moved by Commissioner Tom and seconded by Commissioner Suzuki that we adjourn our what is this? Our regular meeting and move into our adjudicatory meeting. Commissioners, all those in favor, say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Voting is unanimous. The motion carries. Our meeting is adjourned, and we'll see you on the next meeting in a few minutes.